team.
Hey there, this is Malorian, and this is the Orc Tactical Team, and what we're going to be talking about today is actually just a magical item. We're going to be talking about the Folding Fortress. Now, this question came up on a couple of videos. It came up from mine where I was talking about the comp, and then it kind of spread to some other places too, and I thought I'd just talk about it now. Now, what it was the whole idea that consistently, no matter what tournament I go to around here, Folding Fortress is always banned, just straight up banned, absolutely. And people are just asking, like, why? When you get all these other things, like, a Demon Prince, why not ban the Demon Prince, right? That's crazy. What's wrong with spending 100 points for getting a watchtower in your army? Using all of your Lord's allotment of points, saying, hey, guess what I brought, guys? A building. What's so crazy about that? And for the most part, you know what? It isn't, right? For most people who are playing regular games, it's nothing that crazy, right? When you start thinking like, okay, well, it'd be nice to have some terrain so I can hide some guys in there. If you're really killy, I can put this in here. Oh, you know what? I can be putting my general in there. So, you know what? Even though I just used up all of my points, well, instead of having 20 guys in the back where maybe you might get around to it, let's put these 20 guys in a building, and then, hey, now I'm going to be safe for sure, because, well, he can come and attack me, but I can then go out the back. It gives me all these options. That's probably what was intended to be used as. However, some people take this to extremes, and then all of a sudden it just does not work anymore. And this really all comes down to the fact that there is no limit to the number of models that can go inside a watchtower. You could put in one, you could put in 1,000,000. Apparently, that's watchtowers like the whole Doctor Who phone booth. It looks this big, but it's massive, right? So because of that, people can put their entire army in there. Now, you can only have one unit, but what you do is you pick one core unit that you have, push it to 1,000,000,000, and then put your characters in there, put them in the building, and guess what? There's not very much you can do. For example, one that was being seen quite often is, say, with the archers, right? Let's take high elves. So you might take Sea Guard, you might take archers, something like that. So a massive thing that's going to take up almost all your points. You'll have whatever characters you want. You can take your BSB, you can take your level 4, you can take backup mages. If you want to do the Council of Light, sure, why not? And you throw them all in this building. And you're basically never going to get any points, because while they're sitting in there, well, it'll take you a while to get there, so you lose a couple of turns, and then you get there and you charge. And they send 10 archers. Okay, I'll go and I'll kill some archers. Then you get pushed back. No fighting on their turn. They're shooting you, they're magicking you, and on your turn you can charge again. And they send in 10 archers, right? If they really wanted to, they could even put a killy character in there as well, right? Some sort of tank. So in the very beginning, he's coming down and he's cutting up all your guys, and then, oh, am I in danger? Oh, well, I'm not going to come anymore, right? So they have all these options, and then over the course of the game, because let's say that if you put this tower at the very back of your board, let's say they're not charging to turn 3. Well, that gives them just four rounds of combat where they're actually fighting you whatsoever. And I don't know about you, but in 4 rounds of combat, it's pretty hard to chew through like 100 guys to actually get to the juicy center. And sure, they might fail panic when they lose and stuff like that, but for the most part, no, they're going to be just fine. They'll pass their leadership 10 or whatever, re-rolled, stay there, and just keep on shooting and doing their thing. Well, at the same time, you're probably asking, well, who cares? Put all your guys in that building. What are they going to do? Well, first of all, if you ever see someone with a building like to the ceiling, tell him he's a cheater, because the big thing there is that you can only shoot 5 guys per floor on a building. And GW makes a watchtower, so when it tells you can use a watchtower, I would take that to be implied 3 rows, 3 floors, so 15 guys can shoot. I know some guys are like, no, I'm going to do like a bajillion floors, and so all 100 archers are going to shoot. No, that's BS. Take your toys and go home. But, those 15 guys, that's not many shots, but it's getting you points, right? They're shooting at your chaff and getting points already that way. Meanwhile, the spellcasters are also doing their thing, and remember, you only need 100 points to win. Now, there's one more key part to this that you have to remember with this army, and that's the whole idea where you have to have at least 3 units in your army. So that doesn't count the characters. So if you have that unit of archers, you still need 2 something else's. Now, in the case of those high elves, we just take 2 archers, or sorry, 2 eagles. And it's like, eagle, hide behind the building, or fly to the corners, or hide somewhere. And really, that means that you're just not really going to get any points from these guys. And then meanwhile, they're getting whatever from you. And so sometimes, like, all the thing you can do is, like, if their stuff is short ranged, go the hell to the back of the board and try and hide there so it's a tie. Or if you have death magic, you could try death magicking the guys in there. If you're Skaven, maybe you could do Crack's Call and try and do it that way. But otherwise, it's just a real kick in the nuts. So here's the real issue that actually makes this really bad, and that's scenarios. And like we said, all you really need to do is kill 100 more points and I win. Hooray! But if there was scenarios that actually forced you to do something, then that's not really an option. Like, for example, if you were to do the one, well, the worst one is, I mean, for this, if it's doing Battle for the Pass, well, that's great. I'm really far back. Now you're not charging me to, like, turn 4 or 5 or something, right? The worst one, or the one that's good for the opponent, would be if it's Watchtower. Because, like, oh, you got a tower there? That's nice. There's a tower in the center you have to capture. So come out of your little cozy tower because it's time to fight. The problem is that that's only one scenario, and yeah, a lot of tournaments don't even use it. Another one is Blood and Glory, for the most part. You know, you're probably not going to break them. They're not going to break you. But then it comes down to victory points. So for Dawn Attack, it could actually work out okay, because if you place that piece of terrain, it could end up that the unit won't end up by it. But for the most part, they're going to put all over on one side. So let's say it's over on your left between those 2 zones. Well, then on a 1, 3, 4, 5, or 6, you're going to be okay. It's only if you roll a 2, and that unit's on the opposite side, then you get screwed over. So that one's just kind of like a maybe. For the meeting engagement, of course there's the chance you might roll a 1 for some of those characters, and even though they're probably going to show up right by the, man, I wonder if you can even make that work, where you come on from the side and move right in. So you might even have a chance to shoot at these things. So, you know, even there, it just doesn't really stop it. So really the scenarios that exist don't really stop the tower from being that effective. I really wish that Warhammer had a lot more zone style scenarios or flag or something like that that forces you to move, right? It's not just like different deployment. It's, well, no, in this game here, you have to control a tower, right? That exists. That's great. Okay, now in this game, you have to control this zone, or there's 2 zones, or there's a zone on the flag. Look at War Machine to kind of see what I'm talking about. But those ones force you to move, and would have made it so that this just isn't an option. Because, yeah, go ahead, hide in the back. I don't care. I'm going to score the scenario and win. Just like kind of the Watchtower thing. Now, here's the other thing that can really screw up the Watchtower. And that's the whole idea that if you go into a tournament that's not just straight up did you win or lose, you know, if it's the 20-0 system, if it's even, you know, the Massacre one could be a little iffy too, because if you destroy nothing and they destroy 100 points, well, they're going to get a Massacre, right? So that'll look really good. But you could screw them over just by hiding or destroying the 2 eagles or something like that. But definitely in the 20-0 system, it doesn't work out that well for them because, yay, I got a few points. I maybe won by 200 points, and hooray, I got like an 11-9 or the 12-8 or something like that. So by taking this, you're not going to win. However, you might still see these comp just saying no folding fortress in these as well, because it makes for a kind of pretty boring game, right? You kind of know that these guys are going to come in and not win, but at the same time they're going to come in and the game's going to be like, I stand around and cast magic, and their opponent is just kind of sitting there going, well, I hope he miscasts, or I got to go and chase 2 eagles to get something. but that's really it. So, really, it really is too bad. Like I said, the intent for the Folding Fortress, I'm sure, was this something a little bit extra. The whole idea where you could be throwing in 200 guys in there and all your characters probably was not their intent. In the end, I really, really hope Ninth changes to zone-style scenarios. But there you go. There's a Folding Fortress, and don't be a dick and don't do that at home. So catch you later. Bye.